Hi everybody, Kelly Lang here. Well, today is the day I start my cooking. My family's coming over tonight, so I need to get kicking in the kitchen here. I am not the greatest of cooks. I don't even enjoy cooking at all. But I've got a recipe that seems to go over pretty good for the holidays. It's sweet potato casserole. I'd like for you to stop in my kitchen here with me and go through the recipe with me and see if it's something that you might want to add to your holiday favorites too. Hang on. A little tip, my ex-mother-in-law, she told me about this recipe and she used regular sweet potatoes where she had to boil them and peel them and blah, blah, blah. But she knew I did not enjoy the kitchen, so she suggested that since I wasn't that good in the kitchen, I might need to try canned yams. So this is what I choose. I choose Bruce's yams, and some people wondered if it was considered yams or sweet potatoes, but they're the same thing. So I choose Bruce's, and we'll start from here. Put 3 cups of the yams in a bowl, and make sure they're drained first. It's always important to drain all the juices off first. Basically, it's gonna be 2 of these cans. Now, I'm not one of these cooks that is super by the rules with the recipe. So I'm gonna have a little bit more people here. So you know what, let's just put both cans in here. We're just gonna put both cans in and we're gonna add a little bit more of the recipe ingredients as we go, because I've got a big family coming. I know the recipe calls for 1/2 cup of sugar, but since I'm making double the amount, we're gonna put a whole cup in there. I'm adding 2 teaspoons of salt since we're doubling the recipe. And guys, I'm not super efficient when it comes to measuring. I just kind of play around. Sometimes that's the worst and sometimes it's the best thing. I never know how things are gonna turn out when I cook them, so hang on. The recipe called for I'm excited about my sweet potato casserole. The recipe called for 2 eggs, but since we're doubling it, we're doing 4. You do the math. A whole cup of milk instead of 1/2 cup of milk. Instead of 1/3 cup of butter, doing 2/3 cup of butter. I chop it up first because it's easier to do that way. Okay. And then 1 teaspoon of vanilla, which don't you think it would help if I took the top off the vanilla? Okay, here we go, back in business. 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're going to mix all of this up really, really good and hang tight because we'll add a topping to it in a minute. Okay, it should have this kind of a creamy consistency to it, but don't worry if the butter is not completely creamed out in that because it will melt in the oven. And get a 2-quart dish just like this and go ahead and pour the ingredients from this bowl into your casserole dish. And I will be right back and tell you what to do next. Okay, this is the fun part. You just stir some marshmallows in, and I put a measurement in the recipe, but it really depends on how many marshmallows you like. But you just stir them into the mixture in your casserole dish, spread them out evenly, and then after we get the topping on, we'll even put more marshmallows on top. If you're not a marshmallow lover, you can always leave them out, it's no problem. In a separate mixing bowl, you're going to put brown sugar, which, as I told you, we're making double, so I'm going to go ahead and put a cup of brown sugar in the mixing bowl. And again, I'm not that accurate, but I do my best. And then we're going to add 2/3 of flour. 2/3 a cup, because we had 1/3 in the original. So 1 second, let me get my measuring cup. Oh, so I've already added our flour. I went ahead and added 2/3 a cup of flour. And now we're going to add, it says 1 cup of nuts. Let's go ahead and add 2 cups. I like it really, really crunchy. So we'll just go ahead and add the 2 cups in here. Sorry, I'm filming this myself, so it's really hard for me to show you what it looks like so far, but there you go. It's got flour, it's got brown sugar, it's got nuts in there so far. So next, what we need to add is 2/3 a stick of butter. So let me go grab my butter. That's about a half. So I already had that one done, and I already have a little bit. You don't have to be exact with measuring. I mean, I think some cooks are very precise and very exact. This one is not. So we'll start from there. Now we're at one of my favorite parts. I love coconut. Again, this is all according to what you like. If you don't like coconut, you don't have to add it. But because the original recipe asked for 1 cup, I'm gonna add 2. It makes it really sweet and tasty. Makes it for a little bit of a crunch on top. So we're just gonna go ahead and add 2 cups here. And you know what? Let's just go ahead and add the whole bag. This is a 7-ounce bag, so you can't go wrong here. Now it's time for more marshmallows. Just gonna add a few here in this mixture, and then we'll sprinkle a few more on top too. So what I like to do now is if you just mix it all together and get it pretty much a consistency of all of that mixed properly together, this is just going to go on top, and it's going to spread nicely on the yams, or sweet potatoes as you want to call them, and it adds for crunch on top. The butter is, I wish it was a little softer. We probably should have softened it, but it will soften as we go here. So just keep mixing this mixture together, and then we'll sprinkle it all on top of the casserole. So what I do now is I just cover the top of the sweet potato dish with this topping. Make sure that you kind of even out the butter crumbles on top evenly, because that will melt into the mixture and it'll make it so good. And as soon as you get all of this on evenly, this adds the crunch to it. This adds the real flavor to it, in my opinion. It's always the fun part. And it turns golden brown. And if you want to add more marshmallows on top, you certainly can. I do. The trick with that, though, is making sure that you, see how consistent that is, making sure that you cover the dish with tin foil loosely when you put it into the oven, so it doesn't burn the marshmallows right away. You can take it off maybe mid cooking it there. Mama's gonna add a few marshmallows to the top just for the fun of it. I just think it makes it look pretty and they puff up. Okay, so we will put the tin foil on top of this, just briefly. We'll pop it in the oven and I'll show you the end result. Okay, so I've already removed the tin foil, and this is what it looks like coming out of the oven.